We know that when President Biden took office, he canceled the Keystone XL, which was sort of this final bolt in a coffin for Canadian exporting their oil. It was so important to have that going. In doing so, though, we also realized that Russia, again, the United States imports 585,000 barrels a day from Russian oil. What's going on here, Kris? Was Canadian oil just simply not good enough that they'd rather just import from Russia than from their friendly neighbors to the north?
That's a great question. Ultimately, it is mostly politics. If the Americans don't know that they're importing oil and gas from a place like Russia, but they very visibly can see that they're importing oil and gas from a place like Canada, which is got lots of activists from all sides of the spectrum, and it's physically right there, and it's geographically centered, and you can protest right at it. It's much harder to push that back. We here at the Canadian Taxpayers Federation a couple of years ago, we did a study, and it's something to the tune of $13 billion just in federal income taxes that we are losing out on in Canada because we don't have pipeline capacity. So no matter what's going
Wow.
through it, it could be magic dust. We're losing out on around $13 billion. That's real money that could be going to schools and hospitals. So this is a very serious issue. When you make energy unaffordable for people, a lot of average working people really suffer.
And again, this has become a vicious cycle. Energy is now becoming very unaffordable. It always has been increasing in its inaffordability. We've seen sticker signs at the pumps in California hitting $7 a gallon. Obviously, BC, crazy high rates per liter. On the West Coast, even in Ontario, many people are shocked to know that there was, again, another spike in rates, some places well over $1.70 a liter. Shocking, especially in just a short time when things were, in a bit more of a normal range. Kris, we have many people look at the pump and say, okay, well, that's carbon tax, but no, I think it has to do also with us importing, for example, the cost of oil going up, and we're importing it. How much does the carbon tax factor in on something like this?
It does factor in. Here in BC, for example, yes, of course, what's happening overseas is affecting the actual price of oil. But here in Metro Vancouver, for example, it's around 72 cents a liter of that is taxes. And about
Wow.
27 cents of that is carbon taxes. It costs about $20 extra to fill up a family minivan just in carbon taxes in Vancouver. So that's nothing to sneeze at. And our average cost of the pump right now is $2 a liter for regular.
So, Colin, I'll ask you this question, and Kris, you can jump in as well. Going back again to President Biden, his canceling of Keystone XL. Yes, I know politics is at play. Pretty much anything is determined by politics these days. But practically now, I see that there is an opportunity if the world wanted to, or if North America wanted to get off Russian oil or any oil, even from Saudi oil, this is an opportunity to really open the pipeline. I think that Joe Biden would have popular support if he were to say, okay, we're going to get off Russian oil dependence. We're going to open up Keystone instead. That's the trade-off. Do you think Canada would have an appetite for that? Do you think there's a national North American appetite for something like that right now?
I think there is, if you tune in to the images that we're seeing from Ukraine, they're just appalling what Putin is doing in that nation. Kids huddled together in bomb shelters, a young couple getting married and then grabbing arms so that they can defend their country the same day. It's appalling. That is the end result of the world buying oil from Putin's Russia. That needs to change. It cannot continue, even if Putin pulled out today. We cannot be buying oil from this man in the future. So we have the resources here in Canada. We're a country with a stellar environmental track record. We could be producing those resources and exporting them. I think the challenge is politically, we have a number of politicians that have sort of wrapped themselves in the issue of climate change. And so it becomes a little challenging for them to suddenly increase oil and gas production. But we can't forget that when we do increase especially exports of natural gas, that can be a very, very good thing for the environment. When we get natural gas to countries like China and other nations that are using coal right now, when they use natural gas instead, that can help bring down their emissions by about 50%. So this can be a very good thing for the environment if Canada starts to export more.
And if we say that we stand so well and hold our heads up high on environmental records and human rights records, why wouldn't we want to be leading the production of these things rather than, again, importing it from Russia, Saudi, and all these other countries?